Why hello there! So I got an overwhelming amount of positive feedback on my last D&D story, some really good constructive criticism, and a lot of requests for more stories. While I haven't been playing tabletops that long, I do have a few more interesting stories that I'd like to share. This one is going to be about my worst DM experience outside of Adventures League. Or one of them, because I played with this DM through one full campaign, 2 failed beginnings of a campaign, and a one-shot. And a lot of bullshit happened during these games. Remember kids, no D&D is better than bad D&D, and I had to learn this the hard way. Just a general disclaimer, I don't want to come across like I think this DM is a bad person, because he's not. He's just a bad DM for the reasons I will outline in this story and hopefully future stories. Oh, and for the speed paint footage, I'm drawing the redesign of the character that he nerfed, as she's now my character in my Tomb of Annihilations game. Okay, so I should start by expressing that as a player, I love building homebrew stuff with my DMs. I know that's not everyone's cup of tea, but it's mine. I love giving my DMs a fair amount of liberty and freedom, and letting them throw out suggestions, and really making sure that my character fits the world that they're creating. So when this DM decided he wanted to run a new game, and asked us to make characters, I ran to his DMs and tossed out a few ideas I wanted to run past him. Final build ended up being a fallen Aasimar warlock pacted to the Raven Queen, named Arrow. So Arrow had a bit of a secret, and that was that she had a curse placed on her called the Curse of the Forsaken. In the world my DM created, this curse put her in a strange in-between of life and death. She could still die, of course, but her soul could physically not leave the material plane. A few side effects of the curse was the inability to feel pain, being physically cold to the touch, and being classified as undead. This becomes important later. She also had a familiar, a raven named Edgar. If you know anything about Ravenlocks, they are very closely entwined with this familiar, and most class abilities revolve around it. So the campaign starts, we're on a boat as kidnapped prisoners, being taken by a powerful cult of Vecna. We awoke wearing these mysterious rings on our fingers that we couldn't take off, and none of the cultists were really telling us much. And the ship is suddenly attacked, and ultimately it sinks, and we get sucked into the depths, and we all wake up ashore on an island. The Cultists Island, go figure, and that's where we learned what these weird rings did. They cut us off from any otherworldly god or patron. After all, the cult was trying to induct us. Do you see the problem here? If not, let me explain something. Firstly, the party lineup. We had an Aarakocra druid, a Warforged fighter, and an Air Genasi bard. So I'm the only one who relies on an otherworldly entity for my magic. So as soon as I hear this, I send my familiar to the Shadowfell to relay the message to my patron. The last thing you want to do is piss off your patron. My bird never comes back. I ask my DM, when should I expect him? He says, oh, he's not coming back. Remember that thing I said about Ravenlocks being very closely tied to their familiars? Well, now about 60% of my class function is made useless. I tried to commune with my patron. Nothing. I rolled a nat 20 to commune with my patron. Nothing. I tried resummoning my bird with Find Familiar. Nothing. The DM explained that because I am cut off from my patron, my familiar cannot find me. But it doesn't stop there. I pulled the DM aside after 2 sessions of being useless and explained that I'd either like to talk about a way to get my familiar back or talk about multi-classing so I can actually be useful. So he told me he'd build something in the world to help me next session because he didn't realize how much my class relied on my familiar. So next session, an NPC tells us about an area that's being routinely blessed by captured clerics that allows people to bypass the rings and commune. It's this beautiful oasis with a big sparkling spring. So I go up, and I begin to commune with my patron while the party looks around, and the DM begins describing the area. He mentions that it's holy water flowing from the spring, from the repeated blessing of the ground. He explains that's why the cultists can't destroy it, since it prevented undead, which was the cultists' main offense, from walking on the ground. And I stop, and inside I am screaming. When he's done, I ask for clarification. Yes, no undead can walk here without taking damage. You remember that thing I said about the curse? The curse my DM suggested to me? Yeah, I'm classified as undead because of this curse. I remind him of this. We didn't have another session after that. I know that just from this incident, it seems like honest mistakes, and to an extent, I can agree. But this was the final session I played with him, doing the same things and having talked to him about this before. So I hope you can understand my frustration. After one complete campaign, 2 failed startups, and a one-shot, all doing the same stuff, I would have thought he would have gotten better, just a little. If you guys want to hear more stories about this guy, including his disaster of a previous campaign, just let me know. I'd be more than happy to tell. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this story, and if you liked the artwork, please feel free to follow me on Twitter and Instagram. I will link it down below, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye!